Kino is a beautiful and cheerful girl whose life revolves around one thing: her love for idols. Among them all, her heart belongs completely to Tamon, the main member of the boy band, Face. To her, he isn't just handsome or talented, he's a godlike presence meant to shine from far away. But when fate brings her into his personal life, the distance between idol and fan starts to disappear, and her world begins to change. The show starts with Kino sitting in front of the TV, completely glued to the screen as her favorite boy band, Face, appears. She admits that every member is good-looking, but for her, no one compares to Tamon. The moment his part starts, she loses it, fangirling hard over what she calls his unreal, god-tier visuals. Meanwhile, her parents don't really mind her obsession, even if her siblings roll their eyes at her antics. Still, Kino feels lucky no one stops her from loving Tamon openly. Later, back in her room, she carefully fixes his acrylic stand and looks proudly at the small shrine she's built over time, packed with merch and collectibles. Joking to herself, she says someone that handsome should be arrested. She even replays his old audition video, smiling as she remembers how pure and earnest he used to be back then. But soon, her peaceful fangirl moment is interrupted. A notification suddenly pops up. The concert ticket lottery results are out. She screams, jumps onto her bed, then forces herself to calm down. Pacing around the room, she tells herself she'll be fine no matter what. Still, when she finally opens the message and realizes she won, she lets out another scream, this time even louder. The next day, she gets a call from her part-time job. One of her coworkers is sick, and they ask if she can cover the shift. She happily agrees, knowing she needs the money to keep supporting Face. However, when she checks the job order sheet, something catches her eye. The client's name is Tamon. For a moment, her imagination goes wild, wondering if it could really be that Tamon. She quickly shakes it off, convincing herself it's impossible. When she arrives at the apartment building, her doubts seem confirmed. The place is old and run down, and she thinks there's no way an idol like Tamon would live here. But once she opens the door, she's shocked. The apartment is a complete mess, and sitting in the corner is a man who looks exhausted, unwashed, and completely drained. After blinking a few times, it hits her this really is Tamon. Trying to stay professional, she pretends not to recognize him as an idol and says she'll start cleaning. Tamon quietly tells her to do whatever she wants. Still shaken, she moves to another room, wondering if he might secretly be an introvert. When she goes back to ask for cleaning supplies, she overhears him muttering to himself. He talks about being exposed online, his career being ruined, and even imagines being stabbed in some dark alley and left to die. Kino freezes, stunned, wondering if this broken man is truly the Tamon she worships. As she cleans, her thoughts drift to the upcoming concert. She starts worrying that he might quit entirely before it even happens. When Tamon enters the room again, she suddenly decides she can't let that happen. Gathering her courage, she tells him she's been a fan for a long time and that she's genuinely grateful he was born. Instead of being happy, Tamon apologizes. He says he feels awful that she devoted herself to someone as fake as him. That's when Kino snaps. Thinking of all the other fans, she marches right up to him and tells him not to look down on their love. She loudly and proudly declares her devotion, even calling him a god, going on about how amazing he is and comparing him to the Holy Trinity itself. Eventually, things calm down, and she goes back to cleaning. She admits she's surprised by how different he is at home. Tamon explains that his onstage personality was chosen by the agency and that he's just copying someone he admires so he can make people smile. Kino realizes it's the same thing he said during his audition. He then adds that in his normal state, he doesn't think he can make anyone happy at all. Her eyes wander to a shelf filled with vocal training books. She tells him that even if he's gloomy, he isn't an imposter. For a moment, Tamon almost believes her until he remembers the strict pressure from the people around him. He shrinks back again, saying that the criticism from his sudden fame made him stop believing in his fans and himself. He even talks about running away to a deserted island. Panicking, Kino promises she'll keep cheering him on until he learns to believe again, even giving this version of him a nickname, Gloomy Tam. The next day, she plays an old video of Face. Tamon is lively, energetic, and confidently introducing himself while pulling everyone in with his charm. Comparing that version of him to the man standing in front of her now, it's almost hard to believe they're the same person. Later, she decides to cook him a proper meal. She mentions that last time she cleaned, all she saw were instant noodles. Tamon apologizes for spending his money recklessly. Kino says she isn't mad, just shocked that he can perform on such a terrible diet. Declaring that he needs real food, she insists on cooking for him. When the chicken is ready, she offers him a piece. Tamon stares at it, his mind spiraling as he imagines it might be poisoned, and that she wants him dead. But then he looks at Kino and sees how serious she is about making him eat. Not wanting to face her wrath, he shoves the whole piece into his mouth at once. Almost instantly, something changes. Confidence floods through him, awakened by the taste of a real, home-cooked meal. Kino notices the shift, and before she can react, Tamon suddenly climbs on top of her, whispering in a low voice and asking if he can lick it up. Her imagination explodes, and she feels like her soul has left her body and ascended straight to heaven. But just as suddenly, Tamon snaps back to his gloomy self. He steps away and explains that he's been overworking himself, and because of that, his personality switch has become unstable. But just as things seem to settle, Tamon suddenly collapses right in front of her. Later, as Kino watches fans online cheering Tamon and talking about how hard he's trying to meet everyone's expectations, she feels a strong urge to support him in her own way. So, she decides to make him tuna rolls, hoping a simple meal might help more than words ever could. That night at dinner, Tamon doesn't argue, much surprisingly. He eats everything she makes. Meanwhile, the next day, an interview featuring Tamon airs on TV while Kino is cleaning. The host comments that he seems brighter than usual, and Tamon admits that he recently had a really good dinner. He even adds that eating properly helps him perform better. As Kino listens, she realizes he's talking about her cooking. Tamon blushes on screen, and she can't help but smile. On another day, while Kino is cleaning his bedroom, Tamon approaches her hesitantly. His manager told him to post casual selfies at home, but every picture looks gloomy and unappealing to him. Remembering how Tamon always reacts when fans cheer for him during events, Kino gets an idea. She decides to try acting like one of those cheering fans. Almost instantly, the switch flips. Tamon's charm comes rushing back, and his idol persona shines through. Watching this up close makes Kino's heart swell. For just a second, she thinks about how she could take advantage of this moment, but she immediately snaps herself out of it, reminding herself not to be selfish. Afterward, Tamon slips back into his gloomy mode, but he sincerely thanks her. He admits that every time he takes selfies, he feels so uncomfortable he wants to throw up. Kino is confused and tells him he looks great. Tamon tries to explain it's not about his appearance, but she cuts him off, insisting that selfies are all about looks. She promises she'll check the photos the moment they're posted. Tamon is confused after all. She already watched him take them. Kino simply explains that she'll never get tired of looking at him. With complete confidence, she tells him she truly believes he's the best. Tamon turns away, hiding a small smile. Before leaving, Kino reminds him to eat his dinner. Just as she reaches the door, Tamon calls out to her and says that in his current state, he feels confident he can perform at the concert. Thanks to her, he no longer feels like complete trash, just old trash, which he considers an improvement. Kino tries to brush it off, saying she was just doing her job. But Tamon gently disagrees. He says she deserves to hear his gratitude. He admits that people thank him all the time after performances, and every time, it genuinely makes him happy. Suddenly, tears well up in Kino's eyes. Tamon panics, thinking he said something wrong. She quickly reassures him, explaining that she's happy because his thanks came from both Tamon and his gloomy side. Tamon finally smiles and thanks her again, saying he's fine now because of her constant scolding. Then Kino drops her bag. Her heart starts racing at the sight of his nervous smile. Tamon misunderstands, assuming she dropped it because she was disgusted by him, and he quickly tries to hide his expression. Without thinking, Kino tackles him, insisting that hiding such a sincere and beautiful smile is a waste. They fall to the ground, and she admits she loves his clumsy smile. Unfortunately, that's when one of Tamon's managers walks in. Both of them are scolded, especially Tamon, for not maintaining his idol image. Kino quickly flees the apartment, her emotions in complete chaos. She realizes she's grown attached to Tamon's gloomy side, and as a fan, she feels like she crossed a line she never should have. The next morning, shocking news breaks. Reports say a crazed fan broke into an idol's home just to hug him. At school, Kino's friends gossip about it, calling the fan pathetic. Knowing they're talking about her, Kino stiffly agrees and lets the conversation shift to Tamon's newest photo shoot. While the images cheer her up, she also finds herself remembering what Tamon is like at home. She desperately tries to push those thoughts away but ends up kneeling on the floor in defeat. When she checks her phone, Tamon's image fills the screen. She realizes that if she saw him again, she might lose control all over again. Meanwhile, later that afternoon, Tamon waits eagerly for Kino to arrive for her cleaning shift. When the doorbell rings, he rushes to open it only to find Tota, his former housekeeper. Disappointed, he hides it. At the same time, Kino is at home, missing Tamon deeply. She decides that from now on, she'll return to being just a normal fan. Finally, the day of the concert arrives. Face takes the stage, striking their signature pose as the crowd erupts. After part of the show, they pause to properly greet the audience, thanking everyone for making the concert possible. Each member takes their turn, acknowledging the fans. Kino stands in the crowd, gripping her light sticks tightly. She truly believes Face is the idol group of this era, and she's proud to support them. The lights dim, and a spotlight hits the stage as the next song begins. Taemin opens the verse, his voice instantly drawing cheers. The other members follow perfectly, and at the climax, they rise on separate platforms across the stadium. Kino's heart swells. She's happy to be part of this moment, but she also feels the ache of no longer being close to Taemin. She shouts how cool he is, and somehow, Taemin hears her. He scans the crowd and spots her sign. After the concert, just as Kino is about to leave, she's suddenly pulled into a private area. Taemin stands in front of her, visibly upset. He tells her he noticed her crying during the show. Kino urges him to leave her alone, reminding him that other fans deserve his attention and that she can't be selfish. But Taemin refuses. He tells her he can't live without her support anymore and that he wants her by his side. He buries his face into her shoulder, and Kino finds herself accepting his words. Relieved, Taemin soon slips back into his nervous self before running off to greet the fans. From a distance, Kino cheers him on one last time before quietly slipping away herself, hiding from view. That marks the end of today's anime recap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach a current goal of 10K subscribers.